This tear in consciousness actually started long before the fall of Atlantis. First, it was a tearing away from the heart center, and that meant a removal of the connection to Mother Earth. It was beyond repair with the same level of consciousness that was present. Any moment that you find yourself slipping, come back to your heart and remember you are a creator of infinite possibility. And it is only in the remembrance of that we create a new future, that we change the timeline for humanity. We are preparing for a lot of energy, and we are allowing it to come into us so that the future of humanity can also be open to infinite possibility, to no longer be the same story that has been told for generations and generations, but instead to tell a new story, to sing new songs of creation, and to birth the new earth together. Hello, my name is Eluña. I am an Akashic channeler and a psycho-spiritual healer and teacher, and I am going to tune into a group of beings who are going to support bringing through more information about this timeline convergence that is taking place in May. So I was given information that there is a massive timeline convergence happening and shifting timelines. Those were the words that the guides gave to me around what is happening in the month of May. And they discussed that there are specifically 3 timelines that are overlapping on top of each other. One of those timelines is related to the destruction and also the necessary repair during the Lemurian and Atlantean time. So there was a massive eruption, essentially, that took place. They're saying it actually, a better word is implosion and explosion of energy that took place in consciousness during the fall of Atlantis. That implosion and explosion also created an explosion and a tear in consciousness itself. That tear in consciousness also has had an effect on the timeline of humanity. I don't fully understand what that means. They're telling me they're going to explain a little bit more of what that actually means. But what I do know is that because there is so much happening in the month of May, and it turns out that the group that I am leading to Egypt has been taken in to be a part of a very significant mission, which I did not realize when I was first preparing for the mission. I feel kind of silly. I just didn't realize that there was something so significant behind the group that I was leading to Egypt. I really was anticipating that it was going to be another initiatory experience, and it absolutely will be. But that is all that I thought it was going to be, which is already a lot. And it turns out that simply because of the timing of where we will be and the timing of what is going on collectively in the consciousness, the group that I am leading has this opportunity to be a part of this timeline consciousness and the evolution of what is taking place in consciousness within the Earth grid. So that also means now that people who are not with me in person also have the opportunity to support this mission and what is taking place in the month of May. I am specifically supporting the timeline and what is taking place in consciousness from South America and into Egypt. That is the kind of area or territory, if you will, that I have been given support of and where I am going to be applying the most amount of energy and the biggest shift in consciousness. So my group will be in person in Egypt. And what I want to learn in this video and in this transmission from a group who, could I call you a group of it? Okay, they're saying it's not entirely accurate, but it's a group from Atlantis. I was going to call them a council from Atlantis. They're saying that's not entirely accurate because Atlantis actually had councils, and they were not one of them. They were on multiple councils. But so they're a group from Atlantis. They are one of the groups that are leading my journey and leading me while I lead others through Egypt. And so they are a part of this this reparation in the timeline and also the evolution of the Earth grid consciousness. So I would like to speak with them, and I would also like to speak with the Lemurian Council who reside in Inner Earth, because it is those two groups who have the most information to share historically as to what has taken place and what is relevant to us today, and specifically what is relevant for us to know for this month of May. What is actually happening? Because it's a really big buildup. I'm sure that you are all feeling it and have been feeling it for months now, probably weeks. You have been feeling this intense energy, and maybe every day has been a little different for you, having high highs and low lows, or just feeling really stuck in the bottom somewhere. That is because of what we are building up to in the month of May. So I'm going to tune in, find out more information, so that we can be supported around what can we do and also what is actually happening, because this is all very energetic. So not all of us are going to be able to see or understand fully what is taking place. So I'd like to get more information. So I will just take a moment to tune in. Okay. So before I can actually even ask a question, the group from Atlantis are saying that they would like to begin. So please go ahead and I will translate for them. They are asking me to share with you what they tell me, because a lot of it will be energetic and need description, they say. So, okay, good to know. Yes, please go ahead. Okay, they are saying it all started with this tear in consciousness that I mentioned earlier. There was, oh, I see. They are describing that during the time of Atlantis, this tear in consciousness actually started long before what many people call the fall of Atlantis, because the fall of Atlantis was not just a singular event. It was over a period of time. Just as the Roman Empire did not fall in one day, it was over a period of time that the Roman Empire changed. That is the same with the Atlantean Empire. So this tear in consciousness actually started in the heart, they are saying. First, it was a tearing away from the heart center, and that removal of connection to the heart center also meant a removal of the connection to Mother Earth and to the Divine Mother as a consciousness. That was the first tear. That created a domino effect of greater and greater levels of separation that ended up resulting in a tear in the actual consciousness of humanity and of the collective. That had far greater consequences than they realized initially, because this took place over hundreds of years. And so the initial effect of the tear within the heart center was not present. They were not aware what was going to happen later. When the time came that this explosion and implosion within consciousness took place, that is when the full severing took place, more or less, because there was such a massive hole in consciousness and in the connection to the earth and to the heart and to the mother. It was beyond repair with the same level of consciousness that was present. They are saying this is why it has taken so long to come back and repair this, because it has had to be a slow stitching of consciousness back together. This hole that was created, it has had to be stitched back together through the choices of humans every single day, choosing more love over fear, choosing more consciousness over unconsciousness, choosing compassion over hatred, all of those choices of choosing to move back toward the heart, back toward consciousness, less ego, more love. All of those choices have slowly stitched this tear back together. That has led to this moment that we are in right now, which is the final part, the final closure of this stitching together. And it's interesting because they're saying it is the final closure, but it is not actually the end, because they are showing me an image of this stitching together of this whole. It's not actually the end of this whole. It is the beginning of the end of stitching this whole together, because they are saying, in order to close this and allow this to be on the path of healing, on the path of recovery, it must be done with the utmost love and with the connection reestablished to the mother and the connection reestablished to the wisdom of the heart within the collective. There must be the desire to reconnect in those ways in order for this to actually fully close. They are saying we have gotten as far, we as in the entire collective of this planet, we have gotten as far as we can working and doing to close this. Now, the final closure must be from the energy of love that is simply focused upon the collective and the reparation of the collective. Wow. They are saying a way of understanding this, it is just like when a child gets hurt and the magic that makes them feel better and stop crying is the kiss from their mother. When they hurt themselves and the mother kisses it and they stop crying and feel fine magically, that is like the energy of what is needed to close this. It is that full surrendering into the love of the mother and feeling the magic and the bliss of that again in the heart that this tear will be able to close, that it will be fully stitched back together. Okay, and they are saying that is why we are choosing to help lead the group through Egypt that you are in, that I am a part of, because it is also, wow, they are saying because it is also part of how they are evolving is to feel this experience fully themselves. Wow. They are responding to my my surprise. They are saying it's not that this tear that has happened, it is something that must be fully experienced and healed in the physical and the heart center, as well as the energetic space. That is part of the reason why there is a physical group with me going into Egypt, because it is something that must be tangibly and physically felt and be present for in order for this to take place, because that was the first and deepest tear or separation, was the feeling of separating oneself from the mother, which is from the earth. And that is what happened in the Atlantean community. That is what started the entire tear of consciousness. If you will, it was the first part of the downfall of Atlantis, was the separation from the mother. And we have seen that continue within our entire collective throughout the world. And just to share, that it was not a mistake, as it were. It is part of the evolution of us as a collective to remember to never separate ourselves again. So this is very much meant to be, and we are very much meant to be in this time and place so that we can learn exactly this lesson and to learn and remember the magic of the mother. That is part of why we have come. And the Lemurian Council is saying that they would like to share some of their piece now because it is related to that. They are saying we did not ever lose the connection to the mother. We did not forget that. And we did know, because we were so connected and still are so connected to the mother, we knew what was coming. And as we were so connected to the mother, we could feel what she could feel. So what the earth feels and the cosmic energy of the mother that is part of the consciousness on this planet, they could feel that. And they are saying that because we could feel that, we also already felt the forgiveness and the compassion that a mother feels when their child does something that creates destruction or chaos in some way, that causes pain. When a child lies, the typical relationship between a mother and children, they already felt that. And it was already forgiven. It was not something that they were necessarily afraid of or concerned about because they knew that it was coming. And although not every being in the Lemurian community could feel the trust when the time came, some of them did lose the trust. In the midst of the chaos, some of them did lose that. But eventually, they came back to it. And they have either come back to it in a lifetime immediately following the downfall and this tear in consciousness, or they came back to it in subsequent lifetimes through being a human on Earth. So that is the most typical way that people have come back. From the beings from Lemuria, they have returned to this sense of trust. And it is very often that beings from that time, beings from this Lemurian time, they are the ones, after living as a human for so long, they are talking about the mother the most now. They are saying that is very common because those beings have in their soul a very deep connection to this earth and to the consciousness of the mother within this earth. There are other beings who live around the world, who are bringing through and restoring the wisdom of the mother through other means. So what they're giving to me is those who still tell the myths of the mother, those who still live in matriarchal societies or matriarchal households even, and also those who have been raised in communities, in groups, in tribes that honor the feminine and honor the mother or matrilineal side or lineage. Those beings are very, very close to the mother. It does not mean that there are not human egoic distortions within that relationship, because that is also part of what needs to be repaired and taken out, if you will, from consciousness, or evolved beyond, to put it in other words, from consciousness, is the distortion of the mother. What it means to be a mother, what it means to have a mother, what it means to not have a mother. There are distortions within the collective that are also being evolved beyond, and many beings all over the world are participating in that evolution of consciousness. What is taking place in May? Okay, this is a lot. So they're both of these groups are giving me this information. So let me just piece through. Yes, please. Thank you. Okay. So what is taking place in May in different parts of the world are different layers of the mother consciousness, either being exposed for the first time and or layers of distortion being removed, thus allowing a deeper layer to emerge and surface. Those experiences, those forms of evolution that I just described, those are happening in an energetic sense, yes. It is happening in the consciousness, the actual minds of the collective. It is happening in the hearts of the collective, of humanity. It is happening within societies and systems within the collective. And it is also happening on a physical level within the human body and on the physical level within the earth. Okay, so that is every layer is being affected. They wanted me to list all of those out, though, they're saying for clarity, for clarification, that there is not an aspect of life that is not being affected by this evolution of consciousness that is taking place in May. So, I see. Okay. My question was, again, what does this have to do with the tear that took place during the Atlantean fall? They are saying their participation, the Lemurian beings, the beings from Atlantis, their participation in this repair, in this evolution of consciousness within the Earth grid that is taking place in May, is also how they repair through time what happened during the fall of Atlantis. That is a very complex, it is on the quantum level that this is taking place, but because they are choosing to heal here and now, they are choosing to join their consciousness with the consciousness of humanity and with each other. This is healing the wound through time. That is the easiest way to say what is happening. So, that is part of the reason why this experience in May is so significant, and we have been preparing for this as a collective since last March. They said again, they told me this some other time, that it was last March that the twinklings of this started to take place. More people began to remember their Lemurian and Atlantean lifetimes, and that is because those beings are now more on board, whether they are consciously aware of it or not. They are now a part of this healing and the bringing in of this consciousness into the collective. Because the other part that is taking place here, would you say layers? Is that the easiest, most accurate way to say this? Is that layers of consciousness from the Atlanteans and layers of consciousness specifically within the heart from the Lemurians, they are merging in our consciousness and in our bodies during the month of May, while we are bringing in new energy in that merging that is going to evolve all of consciousness on this planet. And this is the beginning process of that evolution. So that is why it is significant. It is because there are days in May that I will share that are very specific to grounding and anchoring this energy in, and it is the beginning piece that puts all of this into motion. They are also saying this grounding and anchoring and this merging, which all of that is the evolution of consciousness, that is all taking place whether someone consciously chooses to support, to be involved in, or is even aware that it is happening. It is still happening. That is because collectively, humanity and the earth has chosen this evolution in consciousness. So there is no way for this to not happen. There is no way for this to fail. That is not the purpose of you participating in anything, or of the groups that are spread around the world and my group that is going to be in Egypt. It is not about making this possible. The purpose of participation and of us being physically present in that space is to allow the most amount, the highest concentration of this energy to be grounded and anchored, which therefore allows the smoothest, easiest transition within this evolution to take place. They are saying it is a bit like you are giving a head start, a running start to this evolution of consciousness. Rather than the consciousness starting from ground zero and slowly building in momentum, we are adding to the momentum of it starting by participating in what is taking place in the month of May and by having our conscious awareness in what is happening in the month of May. That is what they are saying they want to make very clear, that there is nothing that is either failing or successful. It is simply a matter of how much do you want to contribute to the momentum of this building. Okay, that is very helpful. Good to know. Okay, and so they are saying that they would like to share about these specific days in May as it relates to the grounding of consciousness that me and my group are going to be participating within. Okay. I see. So it is the 4 days that have already been brought up, in fact, that I have mentioned and that are available on my website. Okay, I actually wasn't sure if it was going to be the same days, but it is. So May... I'm sorry, I'm laughing because the group of Atlantean beings who are guiding me, they're rather serious, and they said to me very dryly, "Who do you think gave you those days?" And it's really obvious that they did, so of course it's the same. So I'm just laughing at myself right now. Excuse me. So, yes, please go ahead. The first day is May 12th. That is taking place on a day where there is a supermoon, they are saying, actually. I did not know that. It's a full supermoon that is taking place on that day. That is of particular importance because of the level of energy that the supermoon is bringing and pooling toward our planet. That is a day when there is the opportunity and available energy for significant change. So that is why they have titled it Metamorphosis Moon, because it is a time for you to determine what will you metamorphosize into after the night. The light of the moon will keep you company and will shed light and consciousness onto the places within you that you are ready to transform and metamorphosize beyond. So that is the purpose of that night. To determine for yourself as an individual which leads the way for the rest of humanity to follow into what you determine you are going to metamorphosize into. So they are saying that is why that focus is entirely on yourself. And most of the practices throughout this are entirely on the self and on your inner world. Because the more that you develop that space, the more you will be able to create outside of you. Okay, that's beautiful information. So that is the first day. The next event is taking place on May 21st. That is when there is an activation in the crystal pyramid. Okay, and so what is happening? Okay, they are saying that this is actually so interesting. It is almost as if it is like taking the ceremony and your experience on May 12th and turning it inside out. I know that's a little strange, but that is what they are showing me. Because on the 21st, you are going to be taking everything that is beyond you, and you are going to be taking everything that is within you and essentially pulling it apart. You are going to be dissolving everything inside of you while your consciousness is dissolved into nothing. That is being in the cocoon. That is you turning into mush and being nothing, just like the caterpillar does before it becomes a butterfly. Okay, so that experience is a little bit like the collective losing its head, which actually also happens to a caterpillar before it goes into the cocoon. It is losing its head, and so things will feel very mushy and very much like things are falling apart, and that is perfect, they say. You are meant to let yourself consciously fall apart, not unconsciously and emotionally fall apart, but to consciously remove your awareness from anything inside of you and join your awareness to the greater consciousness outside of you. Okay, and they are saying that there is a meditation that the Atlanteans will lead you through on the 21st for the activation that is taking place that day. Okay, so that will be supportive. The next day is May 22nd. So the very next day is May 22nd, the third day that things are taking place. Okay. Wow, amazing. So they are saying, to continue with the analogy of the butterfly, that is essentially the first day that the butterfly is opening from its cocoon and letting its wings dry out. That is what's taking place on the 22nd. Yeah, it's quite beautiful. You are going to dry your wings out while being guided through a walking meditation around the Giza Plateau. That is the event that I am leading people through, is through a live streamed meditation taking place on the Giza Plateau. That is where you are going to dry your wings out. They are saying that it's actually really such a beautiful image. It is like, and I will just explain it. It's rather abstract, but it is like your wings. To continue with this analogy of the butterfly, it is like they are crystalline wings that are charged by the sun, because the sun is the light of consciousness. And in order for you to be free, your consciousness must be free. So your wings are your way to freedom, and the way that they are able to fan out and grow is through the light of consciousness. The light of that consciousness is going to be able to enter you through this meditation that is taking place on the Giza Plateau. It's just so beautiful. So, that day is for humanity to free its mind, to move beyond anything that it has conceived of, to move into a state of absolute surrendered bliss, to just be in a state of possibility. And so that very same day, but it's really the transition from that day into the next day, into the 23rd, that the following activation is taking place. And they are saying that that is the next day within this month, the 23rd, and then into the 24th. They're saying they're going to explain that. Okay. So the 22nd into the 23rd is the next day of activation that you are able to participate in with my group. That is when you move through the initiation of opening your wings and actually taking flight for the first time. In order to do that, you are going to energetically dissolve everything that you have thought that you are, and in so doing, dissolving everything that humanity has thought of itself up to this point. That is going to dissolve, and all that is going to remain is this expression of you as a crystalline butterfly. And you don't know what that feels like. You're not supposed to know yet, because it is the new. It is the new that you are going to feel. And there is an activation that you will be guided through if you wish to participate in that way on that night. While my group is going through the initiation in the Great Pyramid, you can also participate in your own activation and initiation of this consciousness through the dissolution of everything that you are, that humanity is, that your ancestors have ever been, to become the infinite possibility of the future. That is how we welcome in the most amount of consciousness during this month of May, is simply being open to the peaceful evolution into the infinite possibility of the future. They are saying that is the final piece, the peaceful evolution of humanity into the infinite possibility of the future. That is what is available to us in May. Okay, and they are saying they would like to elaborate on the 24th. I'm just feeling so much about that. That's incredible. So they are saying that infinite possibility and feeling that is going to bring so much light to this planet. The shadow side will also grow quite strong. They are saying that we must remember that and continue to orient ourselves and orient our awareness and our energy on the infinite possibility of the future. Orienting ourselves to infinite possibility is how we bring the future to us. And it is also how we create more light and more consciousness. The transition from the 23rd into the 24th of May, those actual days, is going to create a spike, a very large increase in energy that feels aggressive, that feels like it could detonate, that feels very combative, and that could be reflected like a lot of shadow. Not everyone is going to be experiencing that side of the energy, but they are saying that it is good to simply be aware of that so that if you find yourself slipping into it, you are able to bring yourself right back to infinite possibility. Any moment that you find yourself slipping, to come back to your heart and remember you are a creator of infinite possibility. That is your new mantra. I am a creator of infinite possibility. And it is only in the remembrance of that, during those moments of slipping into discomfort and slipping into the shadow, that we create a new future, that we change the timeline for humanity and for yourself as well. Your individual timeline will also change as you remember the truth that you are a creator of infinite possibility. Okay, and they are saying when we come to the month of June, it will feel a bit like a little bit of a floating time, a little more watery, a little more time to just rest a bit. We will have that feeling when June comes. But we are preparing for a lot of energy right now. We are building toward it. We are creating more of it. And we are allowing it to come into us and to manifest as infinite possibility so that the future of humanity can also be open to infinite possibility. To no longer be the same story that has been told for generations and generations, but instead to tell a new story, to sing new songs of creation, and to birth the new earth together in peace and harmony for all. Thank you very much. Thank you for everything you have shared. I'm deeply honored and grateful to receive this. Thank you. My energy stays with me. Your energy stays with you. All I can think to say is that it is a very bright day ahead of us. The dawning of our future. And we will see each other through this night. And we will get to smile. And perhaps shed tears of joy as we see the dawning of this future, the one of infinite possibility. Thank you. Thank you for hearing this message, because it means that you are one of those who is choosing to create this. However you feel called, however you are able to participate, this is your participation. This is your creation for the future of humanity. Thank you. I welcome you to go to my website if you would like to know more information about any of the ceremonies, the activations that I mentioned. I would absolutely love to feel your presence in the astral while I am leading the guided walking meditation on the Giza Plateau. If you feel called to doing that, again, that information is on my website, and that will be live streamed to YouTube. So I would love to feel you and probably see you walking with me on the plateau, changing the consciousness of humanity forever. Thank you all again. Sending you my absolute love. May you remember the magic of infinite possibility today.